Hey guys, lesson 111. We get to play with more constructions. So you've got your compass, you've got your straight edge. Make sure you're ready to go. Have both of those on hand before you start watching this. All right, so the first one, constructing a perpendicular line through a point that's not on the line. So I'm going to slide this up a little bit. So I want to draw a line perpendicular to line L that goes through point P. All right, so we did perpendicular the other day, but that was a perpendicular bisector. This is a line. You can't bisect a line, but what you can do is you can kind of center the perpendicular line directly beneath point P so that it'll go through it. So what I want you to do, use your compass, put the pointer on point P, and then open the compass so that it goes past the line here. Once you have that, I want you to swipe an arc so that the arc hits line L in 2 spots. I'm going to label those 2 points A and B. Now what you've essentially done is we've created a little segment AB that we're going to do the perpendicular bisector of. So you can leave your compass exactly as it is because it just has to be more than halfway. And so if it's going to run into the next problem and that bugs you, you can make it a little bit shorter, but make sure it's more than half of segment AB. I might make mine just a tiny bit smaller. So I'm going to swipe an arc down here. I'm going to swipe an arc over here. And now I can extend that arc to come up top too. But I don't need to because I've got point P at the top as my reference point. So now what I'm going to do is line up my ruler so that it goes through P and then both of those intersection points. So you go through all 3 of them. So let me draw that on in. And then what you should have is a line that's perpendicular to line L that passes through point P. There you go. Right. Keep in mind, it's a good idea. Maybe watch it once, then try it. Rewind and watch it again if you need to. The one at the bottom, same thing. So I'm not going to redo it because it's the same construction, but try it once, try it again. Right. On to the next page of the notes, page 41. It says construct a perpendicular line through a point that's on the line this time. Oops, sorry, popping around all over the place. So instead of point P being up here, now it's here. So same thing. What we need to do is create a segment where P is going to be the center of it. So what I would do is I would pick a fairly small distance on my compass. So close that up a little bit. All right. And what you're going to do is put the pointer on point P, and I'm going to mark a spot to the left of point P and then swing my compass around and mark the same distance to the right of point P. Now you could draw a full circle if you want, but what I'm really doing is I'm creating a segment where P is already the midpoint. So A and B, so those 2 lengths are the same already, all right? What I'm now going to do is do the perpendicular bisector of segment AB. So I need to open it more than halfway, so it means you got to open it bigger than what it is right now. Put your pointer on one end point, so I'm going to put it on my point B, and I'm going to swipe a big old arc top to bottom, so almost a semicircle there. And then I'm going to come over to point A and swipe another big arc. They should intersect at the top and at the bottom. And now if I line it up, it should also have point P right on my line. So go ahead and connect top to bottom. And what I should have is a nice 90-degree angle here. And the line passes right through point P. Right? Again, all those construction marks, leave them there. Do not erase those. That's the work I want to see. That's like when you're solving an equation. You don't just give me the answer. I want to see all the work that went into it. Same idea. All right, this one is practice, which means you do it, but I'm going to keep moving. So feel free to pause me and then restart. All right, constructing an altitude. In the notes just a couple days ago, we talked about what an altitude is. It's the line that's perpendicular, right, from, in this case, it's saying do it from vertex C to side AB. So perpendicular from point C to side A, B, which is just code for you need to construct a perpendicular line that passes through point C. So I want you to do your best to kind of put your blinders on and ignore segment AC and CB and just try to focus on point C and line AB. And you're basically going to be redoing the construction that we did from back here on page 40. So you're going to take and put your pointer on point C, and I want you to open it so that your pencil goes just a little bit past line AB, not too far, because otherwise you kind of run off the page. All right, swipe an arc. Now, if you do make the arc big enough that it extends past point A, just extend that line then. All right, you could take your ruler and literally extend it on out. All right. Otherwise, you should have two little intersection points. There is now the line that you're going to do the perpendicular bisector of. I'm not even going to label them this time because hopefully you're a little more comfortable this time. Make sure you could leave the compass where it is, or it just needs to be greater than halfway. So halfway from here to here. All right. So I'm going to make my little smaller so that I don't make too much of a mess down here. Swipe my little semicircle. Go to the other point, swipe another little semicircle. And now what I should have is the point down here and up here in line with point C. They should all be collinear. Now, what if you do it and they're not completely perfect? Either you made a mistake, or more likely, maybe just your compass jumped a little, or make sure that your compass can hold a certain position. If need be, like mine has a little screw here, I can tighten up that screw. Right? Now you can extend, the line down if I want, but the altitude is just a segment that goes from point C to side AB. So I really want to stop it right here. And I'm going to show that it's a right angle and that this is my altitude. Right? So maybe we even mark that as point D so that I could say that CD is the altitude. Right? Is it the end of the world if you extended it? No, it's just the altitude should have an actual length, like you should be able to measure it. So it doesn't go on infinitely, all right? So you can do the same thing down at the bottom. Normally, I would say, I'm not going to do the next one with you. I'd let you practice. This one's a little different. And so let me look really quick. I should have looked ahead of time and I forgot. Maybe, actually, let's save that one for class. So let's keep this one as a little recap. So this is page 42, number 6. You do number 5 at the top. Hold on to number 6 and let's do that together in class. Right? So I'm going to flip on over to the next page. On page 43, you're being asked to construct a median. So a median from point C to side AB. As a review, the median is the segment that goes from point C to the midpoint of side AB. Right? So what does that mean? This one's a little different. It means you actually need to construct the midpoint. So this is the part that we need to construct first. Well, none of the constructions we've done so far said construct midpoint, but what we have done is we've constructed a perpendicular bisector. And if we can bisect something, that's the same as locating the midpoint. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the perpendicular bisector of segment AB. So again, try to visually ignore AC and CB. Just wipe them out of there. You're just focused on segment AB right now. That is the segment that we're going to do the perpendicular bisector of. So to do that, you have to open your compass so that it's greater than halfway. So put the pointer on one side. I'm right-handed, so I always tend to start on the right side, but it doesn't matter which. And go more than halfway. So make sure that you're extended beyond the halfway point, and then swipe an arc. Then go over to point A, swipe the same thing so that you get an intersection at the bottom, and you get an intersection at the top. All right. If I now connect those 2 points and draw the line in, that line will be the perpendicular bisector. Now, I don't necessarily need that whole line, so maybe you even want to draw it in lightly. Maybe you just draw a nice light sketch. I'll make it dark enough that you guys can see it, though. What I want to take note of here is where it crosses AB. That point is now my midpoint. That's the key. All right. So segment A to midpoint and midpoint to B. Maybe you want to label it, be easier. Those 2 segments are congruent. So now go back to what a median is. It's the segment that goes from point C to the midpoint of side AB. So here's where maybe even if you have a different color, or if you have a highlighter or a colored pencil, you can kind of go over the segment to highlight it here. So I happen to have a highlighter sitting over here. I'm going to highlight that segment. So that is my median here. It's that segment that goes from, oops, C to the midpoint of the opposite side, right? Or you can label it like we did the last one, that here is your median. So I definitely think the highlighter sometimes helps because there's a lot of stuff going on there. And maybe even, you could backtrack. You could come back here and say, okay, just from C to D, especially if you extended beyond it. You just want to show it's just that part is the altitude, just that part is the median, right? For number 8, you could do it as practice. Otherwise, I'm thinking same thing. Let's hold on to that guy as a little recap tomorrow. So you're holding on to the second, number 6, number 8, and now we have one last construction to talk about. And that is on page 44, constructing a line parallel to a given line through a point that's not on the line. All right. So really similar to what we did before, but we did perpendicular. So in this case, when we're talking parallel, that means the lines should be running alongside each other, never intersecting. Mm-hmm. The easiest way, there's a couple ways you can do this one. I'm going to show you what I think is definitely the simpler way to remember and also to be able to do correctly. Take your straight edge and you're going to place it at an angle so that it passes through point P, and then it's going to cross line L. And whatever angle you choose is fine. You can make it a more severe acute angle. You could make it a little bit more like closer to, a 90-degree angle. It does not matter. You pick. All right. So I'm going to take my pencil and from P, extend. And now you can extend it past. It's not a big deal if it stops here, if it keeps going. Mm-hmm. Let's label that point, though, so that we can talk about it. So I'm going to call that point A. Mm-hmm. What I now want you to do is I want you to use your compass to measure the distance between point A and point P. So mine's almost dead on. I'm just going to adjust it a little. You might need to change it a lot. Maybe you're right there. And then what I want you to do is swipe an arc. So put your pointer on point A, and you're going to draw, I'm going to open that just a little. We're going to draw an arc from point P down until it hits line L. I'm going to call that point B. Now, once you do these ones again, you don't have to label all these points. It's just so that I can talk about them. So what you have is that the length from A to P is the same as the length from A to B. You are not going to change your compass. Keep it exactly the same. And then I want you to go over to point B, and I want you to swipe another arc kind of out into the interior of this angle. And then you're going to go up to point P and swipe another arc. And so what you should have is those two arcs intersecting kind of out here, right, in the interior if I was to extend this angle for a while. I'm going to call that point D. You only have one last step. What I now want you to do is connect from P through D, and what you should have created is a line parallel to line L. So line it up, draw it in, and let's see how it looks. Ooh, that just got fuzzy for a second there. So let me try to straighten that out. There we go. So we have line L. That should now be parallel to line PD. And it looks pretty good. If it looks like a touch crooked one way or the other, that's okay. All that matters is you did the construction correctly. And the reason this construction works is if I actually extended, and I'll just draw in like a fake little line here, so that I'd have A, B, D, P. These four sides would be congruent, which makes this thing a rhombus. And the opposite sides of a rhombus are parallel. So that's actually what we constructed, is we constructed a rhombus, and then we're using one of its properties. All right. Feel free to hold off on number 10 as well, and we could do that one together in class. So 6, 8, 10, those we'll do as some practice. Whoops, sorry, there we go. 6, 8, and 10 we'll do as practice in class. In this way, sometimes it helps to see it in person one more time before we try the homework. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to answer the post-video question.